The battle for survival begins. Engage.
Welcome, Junkies, to another great episode of Culture Junkies Live. I'm your host, Kenshiro, back from my refurbished little broadcasting room. Today we're going to be talking about, honestly, we're going to be talking about you and all the topics that you want to talk about. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Today is Viewer's Choice. All your topics, all of our reactions. Who's going to be joining me on the show today? I have my best friends with me, including Mr. GQ in his cute little emperor or imperial officer hat. How you doing, buddy? Okay, all right. I'll be sure to do that. I'll be sure to that. Also joining the show is my good friend Eric Joseph from We Got This Covered. How you doing today, man? Right, and by him saying that, he might have, he definitely did. So we can talk about that, and we can talk about plenty of other stuff. I got a few other special guests that'll be joining me on the show today. Also, Fallen Marvel is going to be one of them. He's running a little bit late, but he will be here, I promise you. So let's jump right into it, shall we? Um, some of the news of the day. Well, there's two things. There's two newses of the day. So let's start with the first almost no brainer. Some people are outraged, other people are not outraged. Avengers Endgame is coming back to theaters in a re-release. I mean, it hasn't even left theaters, but now they're coming out with another edition where we're gonna get the post-credits scene. So obviously, we know this is going to carry it over the top. They're going to what's it called? They're going to uh overtake Avatar for the number one box office in the world. So what do you guys say to that? Mm-hmm. Huh. I will definitely be working on that. So please pardon with me. Right. There we go. That's better.
All right, Eric, you might have to recap that real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So for those of you who've been watching on the other platforms, you heard this. Okay, so for the Facebook viewers, which probably accounts for a sizable chunk of the viewership here, yeah, I think this was mostly in a major push to beat Avatar. I believe they need like $60 million worldwide or something like that, and it would be heartbreaking to kind of near that milestone and not achieve it. And it is a pretty decent strategy, though I believe it's just some kind of deleted scene after the credits, so it might not even be something that significant, and there's supposed to be some other Stan Lee tribute. But if you want to wait for the Blu-ray on August 13th, you're probably not going to miss out too much. But
man, come on, man! Don't nobody want to hear that noise. Come on, man. Come on.
I'm just going to spend my money on Spider-Man because it's here in less than 2 weeks anyway. It's not like they recut the film with extra footage. It's just a post-credit scene,
and that's good enough. That's good enough. That's good enough.
It's like on that old Simpsons episode when Lisa made her own doll, Lisa Lionheart, and it was about to overtake Malibu Stacy, and then they're like, Smithers is like, she's got a new hat. It's basically Malibu Stacy with a new hat. That's what this is.
Okay, whatever it takes. I'm definitely on GQ's side in this regard.
But yeah. If it even takes like coloring the Marvel logo a different color at the beginning, I mean, let's at least take down Avatar because really, again, I'm going to reiterate, and I may have said it on this show before, but who really ever gave a shit about Avatar? I know it did much better internationally, but of all the conventions I go to, and I believe I go to more than you guys, but I go to like at least, let's say, like 5 or 6 conventions a year, and I've been going since 2012. And you see DC, Marvel, Star Wars, Star Trek, Harry Potter. You see Doctor Who,
right?
Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones fandom. You never ever see a fucking thing for Avatar ever.
This is true.
You don't see cosplayers. You don't really see collectibles. It's like whoever really gave a shit about this movie. I think the closest I've ever heard is when the Henry Ford Museum had that Avatar exhibit a few years back. And Josh went there, and there were 2 women over 50 cosplaying as characters from the movie. That's the only instance I've heard.
That's wild.
I'm just going to put this out there. Unless you're at an adult entertainment convention, most women ain't going to be able to cosplay Avatar. I'm just being real.
Well, you have a point, because there already have been 2 Avatar porn parodies.
Not only that, most conventions probably ain't gonna let you cosplay Avatar either.
Right?
Yeah. I don't think I would last very long as if I came in as an accurate Dr. Manhattan.
Right. So and again, I'm not saying that that's the whole reason, but I mean, I think that's a massive, sizable chunk of it. You got to be hella confident if you're gonna cosplay as a Na'vi.
Yeah, because like Vampirella is actually banned from a lot of cons, I think, as cosplay.
And I've only met 2 people that actually cosplayed Vampirella accurately in real life. One was Countess Vladimira, and the other was just a random girl that did a really good job. But yeah, there are a lot of costumes now that you're not gonna be able to cosplay at some conventions.
Yep. So hey, I got someone that kind of jumped into the chat and jumped into the show. He's been on the show before. It's been a long time since he's been on the show before. My friend Simon Says, aka Mr. Christopher Reeves, aka Superman, aka Green Lantern. What's up, man? And I don't know if I can hear him, but he's definitely on the screen. He needs to talk. Oh, well, you know what? Maybe his screen is frozen. The
screen might be frozen. I can see I can see a screen, but I don't know.
I can see his head.
Yeah.
Like
right.
Yeah, I can see his head.
I think he needs a reboot.
Yeah.
But no, as far as this whole Disney thing overtaking Avatar, I'm all for it. I mean, obviously, I'm super duper biased for obvious reasons.
Biased? No.
But in all honesty, like straight up, like Eric said, Avatar has been up there long enough. It's not, and I see it as apt punishment for what James Cameron said about comic book movies, that his movie will get dethroned by basically the epitome of, all this, comic book craziness, going on. I think that would be just the height of just like in your face
karma.
And then the thing is, I have no problem with them doing a re-release, whatever they want to call it, because technically they, for it to be an accurate box office, they cannot add anything to the movie. They have to, put it at the end of, the post credits and all that for it to still, basically be an official count. Because again, everybody knows Avatar came out more than once. It stayed in IMAX theaters for freaking forever. And and it's like it had 34 weekends or something like that, and Avengers has only had 8. With this will be an additional 9 or whatever it is for the re-release. So they got 40 million to go to beat them, and that's the most recent estimate. And there's no guarantee that estimate is 100% accurate. They can get 40. They can get 40 million next weekend. It's
sure
not
can.
difficult because you're going to have. I mean, there's one guy that's seen the movie 114 times.
Right.
So you're gonna have people that are gonna go see it just to see A, the Stan Lee tribute, B, what is the new thing that they're gonna throw on there? Is it also gonna be maybe a Robert Downey Jr. tribute or something? So I mean, curiosity is going to get the better of people. Now, granted, somebody's gonna probably find it, stream it, torrent it, do something crazy. But 40 million for a movie like that is not gonna be a difficult hurdle to jump.
Hey man, I ain't streaming. I ain't streaming. I am not streaming, torrenting, pirating anything because those Disney lawyers will be all over your ass.
Oh, again, I completely understand. I completely agree, but I'm just saying we know that element is out there. Eric, what are you saying?
Absolutely.
I was saying watching the deleted scene is just going to be Thanos farming. Like not even any music set to it. It's just going to be him like plowing the fields. Or if it's music, just have like Spinal Tap Sex Farm playing while he's
Thanos is putting the seasoning and everything and whatever the heck he was cooking. So Thanos has my seal of approval on his cooking skills or whatever the hell he was doing. That was so funny. I'm just like, this fool literally like killed half the galaxy, the universe, and then literally went to a farm to sit down and be a farmer, just like in the comic books. I'm like, this is awesome. So again, who knows what the extra scene is going to be? Like I said, I think, and I think Feige even admitted, he's like, look, I want to take Avatar down, and I don't blame him. Like, hey, why not? Be the golden standard for the next 10 or 20 years or however long it's going to stand.
Exactly. There should be nothing wrong with that at all. So, I want to turn it over to all of you guys out there in Junkie Nation. As we said, this is viewer's choice. We're going to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. So if you got an interesting topic that you guys want to kind of chop it up with us right now, whether it be something that we went over in a previous show or something that's just on your mind right now, you want to ask us, try and stump us with trivia or something like that, even though I wouldn't advise that, because more than likely between the 4 of us, we got all of it covered. Go ahead, test us. We dare you. So anyway, the other thing that kind of came out was, hey, remember when everybody was abandoning Comic-Con and nobody was going to be going to San Diego, DC had pulled out, Marvel had pulled out. They said, oh, we're just going to do our stuff at D23. And then, Warner Brothers said, oh, we're not going to do a Hall H either. Marvel's not going to be there. Oh, we're not going to be there. Psych! Then Marvel was like, hey, we're going to be at Hall H after all this year. So how y'all feel about that swerve that Disney pulled on Warner Brothers? I mean, it's chess, man. It's just master level chess, dude. It's great.
It was kind of surprising. I mean, it's more surprising for Warner Brothers because Disney always had that D23 card to play. I just think, with DC now finally getting back on track and, people like Wonder Woman, people like Aquaman, and although it didn't do as well at the box office, Shazam was pretty well received. So I think they need to keep that train going, and hopefully, I mean, I have this gut feeling that Joker is going to be something really great. Hopefully Birds of Prey follows suit, and probably Wonder Woman 1984 will be a hit as well. But I don't think Warner Brothers can afford to not hype their movies. They might still drop trailers online that weekend, but the major studios like Warner and Disney, I think, need to be there because they can't keep pulling out of this like publishers do at E3. Because in the past few years, I mean, there's been more pulling out at E3 than there is on prom night. So, hold for applause.
I mean, but that's what condoms are for, man. You don't have to pull out if you got the condom, man.
But what's a condom?
Oh damn! This dude Eric got. Oh man, you know what? I don't want to speculate. Go ahead.
But
man.
If Disney has that Hall H presentation, finally give us the slate. I mean, we know, it's the worst kept secrets in Hollywood right now that Black Widow and Eternals are coming out next year, but the studio hasn't formally announced them. But beyond that, I mean, they have like these mystery dates set up for the next few years. But tell us that we're getting Black Panther 2, Doctor Strange 2, Captain Marvel 2. Those are the next ones we are pretty sure are on the docket, and Shang-Chi's in there somewhere. But don't wait till D23. If you're booking a Hall H presentation, actually tell us what's going on. Warner, meanwhile, they've confirmed they'll be back for 2020, but we know what's on the way for DC. Like I said, we got between this Comic-Con and the next, you've got Joker, Birds of Prey, and Wonder Woman 1984. Beyond that, I mean, by next summer, they can have at least a rough trailer ready for the Batman, and depending on if it's in front of cameras by then, maybe the Suicide Squad. But by then, they need to formally announce more films, like maybe that Supergirl one that's gestating, because there's all like this chatter coming out of Hollywood at this point. And, as you know, I work for We Got This Covered, and lately people have been knocking on us for our scoops. But hey, if you're paying attention, a lot of our scoops have been panning out lately. No one just credits us when they do. But yeah, Warner needs to actually keep that ball.
Yeah, they need to keep their momentum definitely going, and not, and honestly, I don't know if you know yet, but hopefully that whole, developing a Red Hood movie, hopefully that doesn't really turn out to be true, because I mean, here's my point on it all, right? It's like that's yet another Batman related project. I mean, yes, Birds of Prey is Batman adjacent in a way, but it's still Batman related. Joker, Batman adjacent, but Batman related. I mean, it's just a continued ongoing problem that they got.
Hey,
Really?
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me now?
Oh, there he is. The Green Lantern himself. How you doing, man?
I'm great. How y'all doing? Some minor technical difficulties, but I think we got everything squared away.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the show. Glad to have you on.
Thank you.
Our good friend Damon actually has a very, very good question, and I'm gonna turn it over to. Well, no, because I already know he's gonna. I won't. I'll throw this one to you, because so maybe you could speak on this since you just joined the show. So Damon, Damon asked a question, said, "How can DC get on Marvel's level when it comes to the movies?" So I've got a theory. Your GQ's got a theory. Eric's got a theory. Fallen Marvel's got a theory, who just joined the show as well. So let's spitball it a little bit, and maybe we can just chop it up for a few minutes, but not spend forever on it. So how do you think they can get on Marvel's level?
Well, they need to basically, from what I'm seeing from most of the movies, they should just like do their own thing. Basically, they're just copying off of Marvel's blueprint, which they shouldn't be doing. It's basically, okay, we're DC, we're on our own entity. We should just focus on being DC. We have the characters, they're larger than life. I mean, I think that if they stop focusing on trying to catch up instead of just like, backpedaling and going forward, back and forth. Oh yeah, Marvel did this, so we should copy this, or they had success trying to do this with with their characters. We should try and do something like how they did with Superman. They made Superman like a dark character, which come on now, this dude's a Boy Scout. That's
I mean, yeah, but I don't think they made him totally dark. I think they made him emo and moody, which was a wrong thing to do. But I wouldn't say he was dark.
Remember that quote where his dad was like, "Oh yes, should I let him die?" And he said, "Maybe." I'm like,
I mean, but you have to understand. You had to understand Jonathan's position as well.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
And but Wonder Woman and I would say Aquaman did the best how they wanted to portray their characters. I'm actually looking forward to seeing how they're going to do Batman and seeing how Sparkles handles his role into it. But I'm gonna actually give old dude a chance to see how it plays out.
Wait. Did you literally, and what's up to John P over there on YouTube? Did you honestly just say Jonathan? It's like, which Jonathan are you talking about? Because all the Jonathan Kents I've ever known has been a pretty good moral compass for little Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me explain what I mean by what I said. So a lot of people, when they have kids or when they have a secret they want to hide, a lot of them tend to be very selfish because they're operating out of fear. So that's where Jonathan said what he said. I don't think he necessarily meant to really say, "Hey, I don't want you to save anybody. I want to keep you to himself." That's not really what he meant. What he meant was what he wanted to try and express was that he was afraid of what would happen if they descended upon the farm, found out he was an alien, and all the other kind of stuff that that could come with that. So that's where I believe Jonathan came from. Do I necessarily agree with his stance? No, I don't. But I'm just saying you have to you can understand where he's coming from.
Every Jonathan Kent from
Here we go.
1930, whenever the heck it was, till now, except for Zack Snyder's version, did want him to, yes, hide his abilities, but he didn't stop him from helping people. Like, that was just, like, I'm just sitting there in the theater, like, really? Like, I know we got Kevin Costner. It's like I know we got Kevin Costner, but damn, it was like, you may as well cast Gary Oldman as Jonathan Kent if he was going to go that route. Because I'm like, dude, like, he went real dark real quick all of a sudden. I'm like, wait, what? Maybe?
Yeah, no. He was like, save no one. What do you mean, no one? No one!
Right. So I'm like
people will not understand you. Keep your powers a secret. Never use your powers in public. I don't care who.
Right.
It could be Beyonce, the president. I don't want nobody saved. Goddamn it.
Right. That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like. Because it's like, at least in the Smallville show, Luke, what was that? Luke Duke? Yeah, Luke was the blonde-haired one, right? Or was it Bo?
No, it was Bo.
Okay, so it was Bo.
Was blonde-haired.
Yeah, so Bo Duke was keeping him, under wraps, but at the same time was like, okay, you're still helping people. I'm somewhat cool with that. Just, don't get caught, basically.
Yes, Smallville. Yeah. John Schneider was pretty much like the definitive Jonathan Kent. It's like how everyone wanted that to be their dad.
Right. I was like, that's why I like that show so much. Yeah. And it's just like, then you get to Zack Snyder, and again, I like some of Snyder's work, but he's not the guy to interpret Superman and a lot of the character, a lot of the comic book movies, because it's like his stuff, 300, outstanding. Frank Miller laid out a perfect storyboard. He followed it. He made it look good. Cool. Mm-hmm. You can go as dark as you want. The Battle of Thermopylae was a bloody war, or a bloody couple of days, rather. That was fine. I have zero problems with that.
But kind of the Watchmen was too. Watchmen
was same deal. Same deal.
He could have. I would have been cool if he would have did Batman. I don't know why he didn't do that instead of
because you wanted Batman to get raped in prison.
Right. Right.
Okay.
And again, I would love to see DC succeed. I have zero problems with them succeeding. My issue is, and like I said, if they want to get on the level as the question was asked, big stepladder and some pixie dust, because they don't. I'm dead serious, because seriously, it seems to be that the Warner Brothers executives do not understand the characters that they have had for the longest time. It's like they just don't get them. It's like, okay. And the worst part is, it's like Jeff Johns. I will always come back to this. You have Jeff Johns.
Yes.
That's your Kevin Feige.
And they fired him. They fired him, made him a scapegoat.
Yep. I'm like,
topic.
They don't want it. I think some of those movies are coming off as tax write-offs, or something weird is going on. Because
no, man.
Yes, Aquaman
that
was
pissed
fun.
me off.
Right, Aquaman was fun. Wonder Woman was good. Like Shazam was fun, and because I've never been a Shazam fan, but Shazam was fun. Right. So it's like you're going in the right track, but you have so long between releases that it's like hype, and then you gotta wait.
Right.
Marvel is like, look, hype, couple of months, more hype, couple of months, more hype. Oh wait, Avengers is coming up. Get ready. That was like they just kept it rolling, and it's a machine. And I don't care if people are like, oh, it's so formulaic. Okay, but these are mainly origin stories and continuations of stuff that we've already gotten into. So they keep it's one of those, like, okay, honestly, for example, when we went to go see Wonder Woman, it's like, okay, cool. They're starting to get on track. They're starting to do it right. Then we went to go see Justice League.
What the hell?
It was what it was. No, but it was what it was. But it was like, at least with that post-credit scene, you thinking like, oh, they're gonna do Legion of Doom. They're gonna get on the right track. And then it's like, oh wait, when's their next movie?
Right.
Next year?
Right.
At the end of the year?
Right.
Nowhere to be seen.
Like,
right.
That's
banning shit.
Hey, yo, man. Y'all can't tell me.
It's too far apart.
And y'all can't tell me
they're doing
that even with Aquaman, even with Shazam, that second post-credit scene wasn't the coolest shit they have ever done. Y'all can't tell me that.
Come on, Justice League.
Yeah, when Slade stepped on the Lexus boat, that shit got you super hyped.
And I thought it was cool, but like it didn't really
tease.
I thought it was.
It was
cool,
a tease, but that's the
really...
kind of tease. But that's my point. That's the kind of tease that they have been without for their entirety of all their movies. They haven't had, like, that was on the level of Nick Fury showing up at Tony's house type hype.
Yeah, but the shame in it is we may never see Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke ever again.
And that's the biggest shame. That is the biggest shame.
Right.
Hey, so I got another topic. Let's move on. Got another topic.
Yeah.
Johnny P over on YouTube is asking, what is everyone's most underrated video game? He said, you love it, but most people hate on it for this or that reason.
Well, I'm going to jump right in. I'll say DMC Devil May Cry.
The remake? The remake?
Yeah.
I mean, not the remake, the reimagining?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because here it gets a lot of shit from fans because Gasp Dante had brunette hair. And
he looked like an emo kid.
And he was kind of a shit character, though.
Well, here's the thing. If Devil May Cry 3 weren't an origin story, you could easily insert Devil May DMC as an origin story to the mainline Devil May Cry series, but you can't because there are too many contradictions. But if you actually played through the game, you'd see he went through a character arc and went from being an asshole to the Dante you'd expect him to be. But gameplay-wise, as far as surrealism goes, level design, music, just every possible level, DMC, I think, was probably the best game in that entire series. And whenever I watch a YouTube video, like retrospectives on Devil May Cry or anything, like I was watching one and a guy spent 30 to 45 minutes talking about Dante's hair color and I'm like, are you actually going to talk about gameplay? And I just tuned out because everyone is just talking about what Dante's wearing or how his hair looked and not actually how the game was. And that game had some stellar boss fights. and everything. And I'm probably gonna replay it sometime this summer because I actually didn't even pick it up until last fall. But
so let me ask you this: when you gonna replay it this summer, are you gonna squeeze it in between your annual or maybe biannual or maybe tri-monthly replayings of Resident Evil 2? Squeeze it in there.
Actually, the last time I played Resident Evil 2, the original, was that time I brought it to Fight Night a few years back. So I mean,
okay, yeah, okay.
I actually don't. I haven't played the originals in quite a while. I mean, I'd like to play maybe 3 again before.
I still need to play that remake. I still need to play that remake.
I'm going to replay the remake of 2 at some point, but I want to replay like the Batman Telltale games pretty soon and make some other choices. But yeah, I obviously bought Devil May Cry 5.
In that one, are you going to make all the pro Catwoman choices?
Oh, I already did that. I think when they give you I think when they give you the stats at the end, like of the second one, because your save data carries over from all the episodes. I was one of like only 2% of players that took Selena Kyle to her best possible ending.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, because I somehow made like she was the only character I could say like all the right things to, and then I got her criminal record expunged by Amanda Waller at the end. But
no, man, spoilers. I still ain't played that second one. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. I don't care.
But I played Devil May Cry 5. I got that the weekend it came out, and it was good, but I know it got a lot of praise from fans, but I thought the level design was like really repetitive, and I didn't like it as much as like 1 or 3 or even 4, and obviously not as much as DMC. It was good. It was a nice addition to the series, but I think I read somewhere is that Capcom actually plucked a lot of ideas from what would have been DMC 2 and used it for Devil May Cry 5. Because they now like to treat DMC like it's this black sheep of the family, but that's actually what Capcom wanted. Because when Devil May Cry 4 actually did become the biggest selling game in the series because it was multi-platform, they wanted Call of Duty numbers for Devil May Cry, and you weren't going to get
that'll never happen. That'll never happen. I'm sorry, that'll never happen.
Yeah, it's technically a niche game, but when it didn't happen, they were like, okay, we want a Western developer. DMC was the game Capcom wanted, and when the majority of fans rejected it, then they turned their backs. They're like, "Oh no, we don't want a DMC 2. We're going to do Devil May Cry 5 and go back to the original timeline." And I'll buy Devil May Cry 6 whenever it comes out. So I have fun. I mean, I even had fun with Devil May Cry 2. But it was.
So let me get Fallen Marvel's most underrated game.
Right.
What's your most underrated game?
For me, Spider-Man Web of Shadows.
Interesting pick. Why is that? Why did everybody hate on it? By the way, I don't. It's been so long, I don't remember.
See, I don't really remember too much. Like my whole thing is I haven't really been hearing a whole lot of people talk about it. I ain't really hear too much negative things about it, but the reason being is because when everybody thinks about the quintessential Spider-Man game, everybody always brings up Spider-Man 2, and rightfully so. But they completely forget about Web of Shadows, which realistically took what Spider-Man 2 did and was a bit more refined. Plus, you could switch back and forth from the regular costume and the symbiote, which changes the gameplay. And you had like narrative choices in it. And I thought that was actually pretty cool. Like I put a lot of time into that game, and the fact that I don't really hear a lot of people talking about it is really surprising because the game was dope. The game was really dope, and I just really think that's definitely like an underrated Spider-Man game that came out under Activision throughout like the whole time that I guess did Beanox do that one? No, I don't think Beanox did that one. But the thing is, while Activision had the creative license to make the games, like I really think like that one was probably like the better one under that like through that era, like as far as gameplay and development and stuff. But I just find it a shame nobody really talks about it.
One of them forgotten games in Spider-Man history. What was the other game that came out? Maybe it was because there was another game that came out near to it. That
Spider-Man Friend or Foe.
Yeah, that was it. That was it.
It was
I think a lot of
Spider-Man
people
Friend
had
of
a
Fall.
lot of negative things to say about that one. So Ryan, what was your most underrated game? And you better not say Superman 64 or some crazy shit like that.
Whatever, man. I would never say bring that game up.
Someone must really
That
like
is
root canals.
funny.
Man.
Right.
Yeah, no. No, I'm gonna say Mark McCree for PlayStation. PlayStation
Now,
2.
is that really underrated? Would anybody else on the panel consider Mark McCree underrated?
I would. I don't think anyone other than us in this circle has played this game.
I think like that's one of those games that I miss. So, and you hardly hear anybody talk about. I think that was kind of like one of those like lost, forgotten gems on PS2. So I'd agree with it.
All right.
I mean, if you look at it, it looks like a Disney game. If you look at how the animation was, it was like more Disney than and like, wait a minute, you can actually do stealth kills in this game and chop people's heads off? What the hell? But yeah, it's like I would think it'd be like it's one of those gems that I think everybody should actually play. They get a chance to.
So Maurice Baker, Mo Baker is in the chat, right? He says his most underrated games are Def Jam Fight for New York and Hulk Ultimate Destruction. How can anyone say either one of those games are underrated when those are like cult classics?
Classics.
Yes, dude.
Yeah,
like it's
awesome.
Especially Hulk Ultimate Destruction, dude. That was probably the greatest Hulk game ever created. Like, not kidding.
It was. Like that was like the age of like when like the whole sandbox thing, and it was just like when they made that game, and it's like okay, it's like GTA but with the Incredible Hulk, and it's just like okay,
and you can go wild and destroy anything that you want. Oh, dude, okay,
whatever. Ultimate Destruction was the beginning of the third act of Ang Lee's Hulk movie. That's all that game was.
And so what was wrong with that?
No, I didn't say anything was wrong with it, but that's literally what that game was. That was exactly what people wanted.
It was, but it was better though.
It was
just the same.
The way you could actually, have fun enjoying what you were doing, but God, it took them so long to get to that point in that movie. I was just sitting there like, dude, why is this movie so long?
I fell asleep like twice, dude. It was disgusting. It was disgusting.
Hey, those CGI dogs were the stuff of legend.
Whatever, dude. Whatever, man. Yeah, the stuff of memes, right? Yeah, whatever, man.
But the funny thing about that movie, though, is like you literally just was sitting there like, okay, all right, getting a whole bunch of experimentation and a kid playing with some dinosaurs like he's got Tourette's and all sorts of like odd, tics and whatnot. And it's just like, at some point, I guess we're going to see a Hulk show up and do something. In this Hulk movie.
And not hide in the shadows or be all secretive. And
that movie was so weird.
Dude. Oh, man. But for whatever weird reason, every time it comes on, I can't help but watch it. For whatever real reason.
Why do you torture yourself?
I don't know. I don't know.
You're absolutely crazy.
That sounds like when I warned my best friend to stay away from House of the Dead, and he still watched it anyway.
Oh, man. Uwe Boll movie. Oh, man.
I think that was like reverse psychology for him. He was like, don't watch it. He was like, oh, maybe he's trying to like tell me.
So I vehemently warned him, do not watch that movie.
Right.
He watched it anyway. I vehemently warned him.
And the worst part about that movie, I mean, you're just sitting there like, at some point, they're gonna actually have him turn into the Hulk. I mean, they have to, because that's the name of the movie. And I'm just like, and that's one of the things.
Like maybe with 3 transformations, that was it.
Right. That's one of the things they got so right. They got so right in the Ed Norton one. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah. They got to the Hulk scenes within the first 10 minutes. And he was just oh, it's on. Yeah. Finally.
Yep.
They told you everything you needed to know about the origin during the opening credits. I'm like,
sure did. That was great job. Great job on that one.
Yeah.
The film with Norton is incredibly underrated and underappreciated.
Oh, very much so. Mm-hmm. Very much so.
For sure.
I still don't understand why people don't like that movie. I don't get it.
Because it's because of it's the same thing as with the Captain Marvel thing. There's something that the actor did that they didn't like or whatever. And
whatever.
Like, okay.
Whatever.
I don't understand what that could be, because Incredible Hulk was actually a dope movie to me. I don't understand.
I look at it this way. the Incredible Hulk movie paid so many nods to the original show, and then gave the fans what they wanted from the action side of things. So it's just like, it's like anybody that says, "Oh, that movie wasn't good," okay, I dare you to watch Ang Lee's movie and that movie side by side and tell me which one is a better movie.
Everybody will say it's the Incredible Hulk.
Right.
As long as they ain't crazy.
Or they want to go back to like the '80s Hulk versus Thor film.
Oh goodness. Right. Okay, but my underrated game would be Super Mario Bros.
Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball, right?
Dead or Alive Extreme is fun. I don't care what nobody says. I think my underrated game would probably be, and I think a lot of people just didn't like it because of how hard it was, but the PlayStation 2 Shinobi. That game was all sorts of fun.
Dude, the camera! Are you kidding me?
The camera was terrible, but at the same time, like,
stylistically, that game was awesome.
Yeah, I liked the game. The game was fun as all get out. And like when I beat it, I'm like, it was a true sense of accomplishment when you beat it. It's like, oh, sweet.
Yeah, that boy was. It wasn't Ninja Gaiden hard, but it was hard. It was hard.
I mean, the only thing I remember from that game was the scarf physics.
The scarf, yes.
I can't really remember too much else from that game.
Yeah, the scarf was cool.
My favorite thing was the Tate kills.
Yes.
Like you just rack up, like it is like you have a certain amount of time to like slash every single enemy on screen. If you got them all, he would just have his little pose moment.
Little pose, yes.
Everybody would just die.
It was so cool. Yes, it was. Like, it was so cool. Yeah, that was so cool. So, let's see. For me, man, I got a hard time. I kind of want to say Tobal 2 is underrated. And I know it's a cheat. It's a bit of a cheat because it was an import only game. But even for an import only game, like remember when Tobal 2 first came out? I mean, I know GQ remembers, but that was like one of the first games to be truly 60 frames per second as a fighting game. And it was 3D rendered, free roaming movement. And the fighting system wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty good. But the quest mode was what set it apart. The quest mode, even though that boy was in Japanese, it was like deep as hell. It was an action RPG before action RPGs really came out. It was really nice. It was really nice. Big Kahuna is in the chat. Ashley Quinones is in the chat as well. And she asked us a question. She wanted to know if any of us have seen the new HBO Chernobyl series, and what were our thoughts on Chernobyl. My thoughts on Chernobyl are that human beings, like especially Russian human beings, are pieces of shit. Like how could you do that stuff to people, man? I mean, like it did. Chernobyl was so good, it didn't waste any time overtaking Game of Thrones' records. That's how much that thing. But go ahead, share some of your thoughts on Chernobyl and what you liked about it and why it was so good.
First off, that's racist, so you take that back.
No, I will not.
Secondly, Chernobyl is a cool series. I mean, it happened. Things happen. It was messed up, but things happen. So I mean, it's very interesting to see.
You gonna have a nonchalant reaction to Chernobyl?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I said, I mean, you have to remember there are evil people in the world. That's just life. There's nothing that's going to change that. So I'm not going to sit here and act as if like the United States hasn't done horrible things to its own citizens. I'm not going to act like Africa hasn't done, the various countries in Africa haven't done horrible things to their citizens. So just because it happened in Russia don't make it any worse than it happened in anywhere else. Come on now. We've done way worse things in America than Chernobyl. So let's just be real. Okay. So again, it might, Chernobyl, the series might bring it like to the forefront and visually it's like, dude, this is based on a true story. Damn, that's messed up. Mm-hmm. Right. But let's be real. Rosewood, for one, slavery, like a whole bunch of other different things. So it's just like there are worse atrocities. Sure. And again, I'm not discounting what happened at Chernobyl, but again, things happen that are done by evil people, and that's always going to be the way life is. So I have zero problems with them telling that story and how harsh it is, but it's like, man, most of the people that probably did most of that stuff is probably dead or on their way to the grave.
Right. And but you're glad that it was as harsh as it was. I mean, it kind of needed to be, though, right? Really.
Oh, and that's why I'm glad a lot of these shows and these series are taking some of these hard subjects and are not approaching them with kid gloves. It's like, look, you need to see how messed up people are at points in time. You know, don't sugarcoat it. You know, some of these historical things, yeah, they're messed up. Period. That's why. When people were giving Tarantino backlash about Django Unchained, it was like, how you gonna turn slavery into a Western and all that? It's like, no, he addressed how freaking vicious and evil and wrong slavery was when he had the scenes showing those dogs attack that one runaway slave.
Yeah.
Because that stuff happened for real and worse than that. So I have zero problems when they like, look, they put it right in your face. This is stuff that people did to other people. Here it is. Don't, be offended, but whatever.
A lot of people really have a hard time when, societies or human history's worst evils are, they hold up a mirror to them and they kind of see it reflected back on them, and a lot of them have a hard time reconciling some of those really, but ignoring them doesn't change the fact that they happen, and really, you're supposed to learn from those things, but time and time again, we never do. So Damon came to us. Oh, I'm sorry. Was there anybody else that had any other comments on Chernobyl before we move on?
Nah.
I've seen it. It's a good show. I think I'm on episode 4 right now, so I gotta finish watching it. But yeah, so far good. So far, I like it.
Yeah. Okay, so Damon came to us with another topic, and I would love to see a few other topics from all of our other commenters out there, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch, if you happen to be joining us. So Damon says, with all this online gaming, do you have a game that you wouldn't mind playing on one TV with your friends? Yeah, every single fighting game ever created. Like, seriously. Like, that's the way to go. Like, no, for real. Like, whenever we go over to Miles, whenever we go over to GQ's house and, we happen to fire up fighting games for old school nostalgia's sake, it kind of takes us back to when, we'd stay up late nights, doing nothing but gaming all day. Or, when we would be in the arcades battling one another. Playing people online with the anonymity and, it's faceless, and, you got dudes that love running their mouths and trash talking, and, especially when they love running their mouth kind of reckless. But when you face to face, when you're next to each other, it becomes just fun. I mean, there's no real animosity there. It's competition, and you put your skills up against another, and it was just good. It was just really good.
Oh yeah, couch co-op is always a fun thing, and the only time it really gets a little bit heated when you guys is when you play those multiplayer beat 'em ups where
like when the kids keep stealing the pizza, you playing Turtles in Time or something like that.
Or if you're playing something along the lines like Battletoads, where you can actually hit each other, they y'all be too busy fighting each other instead of the enemies, because you'd be like, man, let me get my hit back. You're like, bro, come on. It was an accident.
Hey man, it's not bad when it was co-op, but when you were in the arcade and you got pieced up by your partner by accident, like, yo man, like, run me that quarter. Run me that quarter since you want to kill me.
Like, either that or let me get my hit back.
Right. Right. Anybody else got comments on Damon's question before we move on to something else? Eric, we ain't heard from you in a while. What's a game you would love to play co-op with somebody, or are you more of a lone wolf / solo person?
I am more of a lone wolf, but I always had fun playing the Splinter Cell games that were co-op with friends, like Chaos Theory, Double Agent, Conviction. I never got to play Blacklist co-op with anybody, so that's still on the docket. Actually, I haven't even played the single player since
It's hard playing those types of games, split screen.
I love it. I love it when like I worked at Toys R Us about over a decade ago, and sometimes when people would come in, they're like, "What should I buy?" And I would pick up a copy of Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, and I would tell them the features of the co-op mode. I'm like, you can lower your buddy into a room, Mission Impossible style, hack a computer, and you can do all this. And they were like, "I'm sold," and they would buy a copy of Chaos Theory. I just loved everything about the Splinter Cell series, pretty much. But I know this might seem obligatory because I'm going to say it. I don't think we've ever gotten the true co-op Resident Evil game in the way that I want it, because I want it like classic Resident Evil, but co-op.
With the bad controls and everything.
Well, you know what I mean. A zombie outbreak Resident Evil 2's remake took the series back to where it's a point where, hey, it actually feels like Resident Evil again. So do that with co-op, because there were the Outbreak games back in the day, and let's face it, the second one really sucked. But those games you could only play multiplayer online, and then it took the loading time was like 5 minutes between rooms. I'm slightly exaggerating there, but the first Outbreak was good for what it was. But those games are highly overrated. And then Resident Evil 5 and 6 were just those were different beasts. Those were almost like Resident Evil in name only. And then other games that held the multiplayer feature, like we all know about the failure that was Operation Raccoon City. I mean, it was just a broken SOCOM game that said Resident Evil on the box. And then, I never even delved into Umbrella Corps, but I think it's multiplayer, but it's just a first-person shooter set in that world. And then, actually, it is more along the lines of horror, and I keep getting on Josh to come over and play Resident Evil Revelations 2 with me, because that's actually a really good and underrated game in the series. And if you're a Resident Evil fan and you have not played Revelations 2, seriously play it, because it features the return of Barry Burton. His foul-mouthed daughter is in it and all grown up, and she's a treat in herself. And it introduces Alex Wesker to the series. Yes, Albert Wesker's sister. She's like, spoiler, the main villain in the game. But it was really such a cool game, and it was more horror based, but you still had like the faster enemies with you, and it was Revelations 2. I would say would be more like if you could play Resident Evil 4 co-op, if that makes sense. But I still want, like, I'd say like the quintessentially classic type Resident Evil and co-op. I'm still dying for that. Silent Hill, I don't think would make sense co-op as much as I love the series, just because of how personal each storyline is to whatever character you're playing as. And unless you could find a way to intertwine it to, like a party of people, I don't know. It's a tricky line to toe. And odds are we're probably never going to get another Silent Hill game again, because Konami shat all over itself. But
hey,
yeah,
I still want PT, man. I want PT to come out. That was a dope game, man. That was dope, scary. It was great. Anyway, I hate seeing the death of co-op, or at least classic co-op, because of online gaming. So there's something to what Damon says, but it kind of is. It's kind of the nature of the time that we live in, right? So I don't know. Q just got back from Q's in the chat. He just got back from seeing I think he just got back from seeing Annabelle Comes Home, that movie that horror movie that's supposed to be coming out pretty soon. About it.
I don't know. They should have called it Annabelle Comes Twice. But
oh, dude. man. Man.
See, but the thing is, those Annabelle movies are getting old and stale.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Isn't it? You could say the same for The Conjuring. Like they keep trotting out more Conjuring movies and stuff like that.
I think those movies are. I was gonna say, I think those movies are so overrated, because The Conjuring was good. Because James Wan's a highly competent filmmaker, but you look at it and it's not like when The Exorcist came out, it was shocking. We've seen so many of these movies, because The Conjuring was kind of like a hybrid of The Exorcist and your run-of-the-mill haunted house movie. We've seen this so many times, and when you have something like Supernatural that's on every week, this stuff just isn't new anymore. And then by the time you get to The Conjuring 2, I mean, that movie in a way was laughable because, again, it was wonderfully shot by James Wan, but they were obviously trying to, it was like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 of horror movies, because they had so many mascots in this thing that you could tell they wanted to do spin-offs of, like The Nun, and they still haven't done the Crooked Man one, but we've got Annabelle. It was just every time they put like this different creature on scene, it took me right out of the movie, because it's like it's just there to launch another franchise.
And much like Parasite,
it's like eventually you get to a point where it's like, at some point somebody's gonna stop being dumb and stop messing with all this possessed stuff. Just
burn it all.
Okay. Right. It's like it's like your entire basement is full of like all of these like demon possessed artifacts.
Right.
And and people can get into this place just by opening the door.
Destroy it.
But the thing is, even let's say you can't destroy it for whatever reason. Man, don't let nobody ever go down to the room.
Right.
This whole movie could be solved with a $5 padlock from Home Depot. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
It's basically GQ's basement, but haunted.
Right.
Hey, man.
Like, don't go down there.
All these horror movies got some of the stupidest people ever involved in them. Like, you gotta
make the people stupid, otherwise there's no movie.
mean, for real, because it's like, okay, see, here's what I wonder, right? Do people that are actually characters in horror films actually watch horror films? Because, like, if they did, wouldn't they kind of be able to call out some of the tropes that they find themselves in? But thereby, I guess it would kind of defeat the purpose of the film. So,
like I said, I have no problem with them telling the story, but I'm still going to point out how dumb some of the stories are. Like, straight up, like,
definitely.
Like, dude, you have an entire assortment of the most demonic objects in the world in your house. Okay, fine. If you feel you can protect, the world from this stuff, great. You should be the only person that could ever get into that room. Period. No babysitters, no uncles, no aunts, no brothers, none of that. It should just be one person can get into that room. That's it. Nope.
Okay.
Babysitter can go down there and open the door, start playing with stuff. Okay.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Y'all just moving to the house. All of a sudden, y'all hear a creepy voice. Get out! What was that? I'm getting my down payment, security deposit, all that stuff back the next day.
Dude,
I'm gone.
I'm not trying to be racist, but isn't it always some dumb white girl that always goes and investigates the sound every time? Like, what are you doing?
But in all fairness, that's the trope. That has always been the trope. So it is what it is.
That's why they always got to kill us in every movie, because we.
I guess that's part of the reason why I guess I loved Get Out so much, is because none of them dudes played that. They was like, oh, you hear some dude, we out. So like, we gone, dog. That's it. Peace. We out. So Johnny P actually brought up a good topic, but I need to couch it, or I need to modify it a little bit, because it'll be a little bit too easy if I left it just the way that he had it. Possible topic, favorite Saturday morning cartoon. So, but I'm not gonna ask that, because that would just be way too easy for certain people. So, favorite Saturday morning cartoon, not superhero related.
That's Saturday morning cartoon, huh?
You mean like the Snorks or something?
Something.
I don't know.
Something that originated or only came on Saturdays that is not superhero related in origin.
I'm not sure if I would say it was a favorite of mine, but I'm just seeing this as an opportunity to bring up Pro Stars, because if people don't remember it.
Hold on. I'm old enough to remember Pro Stars. I probably have at least one episode of Pro Stars recorded somewhere.
Oh,
Actually,
no!
For those
was.
Okay, let me try and get a straight face and say this without laughing. The reason these guys are laughing so hard, and because we remember it, for those unfamiliar, this was a cartoon. Did it only run for like one season? But
yes, a lot of those cartoons only ran for one season.
Here was the premise. It was Wayne Gretzky, Bo Jackson, and Michael Jordan fighting crime with their respective sports equipment.
Yep.
That was it. And what's funny is I was actually at a thrift store about a year ago, just checking to see what I could find, and I should have bought it. Maybe I should go back. They had Pro Stars on DVD.
Oh no, you have to buy that.
Yes, you gotta get that. Go find it, get it.
Yeah.
That's a collectible
item. The rights to put that out there.
Yeah, maybe I should go back.
You should go back.
It was
go
like
back
a
and get it.
Store here in Canton.
The animation was so bad. The animation was so bad on Pro Stars.
It was terrible. In all honesty, like, I mean, there was a lot of like very interesting Saturday morning cartoons. Because I remember one summer that they was trying to do a real big push, and they did like Kid and Play. They did MC Hammer, Hammer Time,
Hammerman,
yeah, Camp Candy,
yep.
And it was crazy. The hook was always, we got the celebrity to do like a couple of lines in the intro, like whatever.
I think John Candy actually did his own voice.
No, he did. He did his cartoon. Like he was involved heavily in his. But like, you know, it's like, come on, you ain't gonna get MC Hammer to do his own voice for his cartoon. He just did he filmed a couple of little intro segments that they stuck on the front of the cartoon and called it a day. But in all honesty, like, if it's not superhero related, the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner show, which was a Saturday morning cartoon,
that counts. That still counts.
That was my show. I enjoyed all of the old, because again,
they were unfiltered.
The unfiltered, censored to a point, because they still would never re-show the Hitler ones and the World War II ones that they used to have, the propaganda ones. They will. I have those on VHS, but they will obviously never air those again. But yeah, those Bugs was so freaking evil, man.
Yes, he was.
No, dude. Like, dude, this horrible.
To me, the single greatest episode or cartoon short was Elmer, Bugs, Daffy. Rabbit season? No, duck season. Rabbit season, duck season. Dude, this shit was hilarious, dude.
That was like that one right there is.
Or about what was it? Wile E. Coyote's Unlimited Credit Fund from Acme.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, man, I want to have bread like him, dude. Like he must have had the ultra perfect credit score to always get them gadgets from Acme.
Either that or Acme was the dumbest company in the world, because they just kept sending it to the middle of the desert. The middle of the desert. No cash, not even COD. Just
right.
You know what?
Sign for this and then just go.
My favorite moment with Wile E. Coyote to me was when he bought the generic Superman outfit.
Oh yeah.
And thought that he was gonna get the abilities for having the suit on.
Yeah.
They did that. They had to have done that just to show some kids, like, look, damn it, I don't give a damn how many capes you put on.
Right. You ain't flying.
You were going to drop.
You ain't flying.
That's like my favorite moment with it. It was like it's because it's so subtle, because it's like, dude, you really thought you were gonna get superpowers for having this suit on? Come on now.
Wait, how about Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm?
I remember that.
Oh wow.
Well, hell, you might as well go to Street Fighter then.
That one wasn't. That was syndicated.
I mean, it was that was
Sunday.
That was direct to syndication. So thankfully, thankfully we don't have to talk about that.
I think Taz was Saturday morning cartoon.
Tasmania. Tasmania
started off as a Saturday morning.
Weekly. Well, not weekly, but daily. But Bugs Bunny was one of the first people to break fourth wall, though. Or first to break fourth wall.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. All the time. So other Saturday morning cartoons I think in the running was the one that I'm surprised that none of you mentioned, but probably should have been the first one on your lips. The Real Ghostbusters. That's one. The Real Ghostbusters. Back in the time, I mean, Muppet Babies was a good show.
Muppet Babies. I always had theories about that one.
Theories?
Because I always thought, as an adult, I look back that Nanny was like this mad scientist creating like animal child hybrids. Then she would give them, she'd give them LSD and lock them in the closet all day.
Yo, that's hilarious. That's funny to think about.
But then again, there was that time they actually did go back in time, because like they got that photo of Nanny when she worked at the drive-through or something, and I don't know.
You still only see her legs though.
Yeah, that's because she was nude from the waist up.
Wow.
Here we go.
Okay, now you just took us somewhere you didn't need to go. So, here's something that I didn't know, and this one kind of was one of my favorite. You know, it was a favorite. It wasn't my favorite. But Turbo Team was one of my favorites, but I did not know that really. That I didn't realize it until I was reading up on it, because I wanted to do a video on Turbo Team, but I didn't realize that Turbo Team was at the time supposed to be a Knight Rider allegory, basically. Because Brett could talk. He turned into a talking self-driving car, much like Kit was, and he'd go around fighting crime. It was weird, dude. It was weird, but it was one of them shows. You have to imagine, like, how do those dudes come up with the concepts for these shows? It's like, are they on LSD? Like, are they tripping?
Spitballing,
like,
bro. Just,
what?
Let's see if this works.
Right.
It's just man. Look,
Teenage Mutant Turtles does count. Q. It did start as a Saturday morning cartoon only.
Yeah, but that's superheroes.
Yeah.
They still are technically superheroes.
They're
Right.
Okay. Yeah, technically. So I take it back. It does not count. Disallowed. Does not count. I used to love the Mighty Orbots back in the day. You know who used to do a whole bunch of used to produce a whole bunch of shows back in the day, like, and they were like the titans of Saturday morning cartoons. Ruby Spears Enterprises. They were the titans of Saturday morning cartoons back in the day. Like, they had their hands in damn near everything. In the 80s. Yeah. Damon's got a good one. Starcom.
Short Tales?
Starcom. No, Starcom was a good one.
Starcom. But it was like one of those, it was like, what was it? I think for me, it came only on Sundays for Starcom. I think.
Starcom?
Could be right. Yeah. You could be right.
Does anyone remember Captain Power on Soldier?
Yes.
Yep. Captain Power, the interactive TV show.
You still got yours, don't you?
I never played Captain Power. I was never really a fan. I mean, I like the idea of it, but like the actual show was so cheesy to me.
It was. I don't even remember even like one episode. That's it.
I don't know. I was like 4 years old, so that was like high cinema to me.
The only other one I think I remember. Oh, how can I forget like the Beetlejuice cartoon?
Yeah, that was it was because it was on ABC as a Saturday morning cartoon. Then it went into syndication afterwards.
So the other one I can really think of that they still at least show. Well, no, it used to be, but then they put it in syndication was Heathcliff.
Heathcliff was more. Didn't Heathcliff start out in syndication though? From what I understand, Heathcliff did have a separate Saturday morning cartoon.
I think it started as Saturday morning cartoons and then eventually went to syndication. Because I know it was syndication when I was like little. Because I was like when I remember watching TV. Because I was like 4 or 5 years old, 89, 1990. So that's when I was watching it.
Tabby Cats, for whatever reason, ruled Saturday morning cartoons because it was either Heathcliff or it was Garfield. Like, and Garfield had a dope show. Garfield had a dope show. I used to love his cartoon too. Any other topics for us to get to
Well, John
Sorry,
P
10
is,
o'clock.
is throwing John P is throwing Galaxy Rangers into the mix.
That was another direct to syndication though. That used to
Yeah,
air
maybe.
during the week. To air during the
Yeah.
week.
Like I said, after a while, a lot of cartoons fell off my radar. I may have seen episodes of them,
Yeah.
and even during that one summer that I was talking about, I recorded a lot of the pilot episodes of some of those ridiculous shows. But like like a lot of those shows just they were there for like one season and that was it. It was like one and done. Like you guys are not, you have no longevity.
Right.
Like
And remember,
Turtles.
of course, the purpose was to
yeah.
sell toys too. That was the
This-
entire
Like you got
purpose.
Toxic Avenger attacking Killer Tomatoes.
Oh,
How
God.
about this kind
Bigfoot.
of falls in this kind of falls into superhero, but Fred and Barney meet the Thing.
That was a thing.
I remember the Thing
Yeah.
used to have a cartoon set completely. He was completely separate from the Fantastic Four. He could switch back and forth on a whim between Ben Grimm and the Thing. It was, man, come on, man. It was great. Yeah. Captain Caveman is also related. Flintstones, the Flintstone kids. Pup named Scooby Doo was another good shit. Red Herring. That dude, Red Herring. Oh
That
man,
that aspect of it did make that show funny. I actually
Yes,
started
man.
watching that a lot.
Freddie used to stay pinning shit on Red Herring, dude.
Was Two Stupid Dogs a Saturday morning cartoon?
Syndication. We need to do a Saturday morning cartoon show and make sure Super Nerd's on there because he go ape shit on a show like that.
Well, hey, Ken, does
Yeah, man.
Captain N count?
Yes,
Yeah.
it definitely does. Captain
It's
in
a
the
video
Game
game.
Master. It's because it's a video game. It absolutely counts. I wonder if that and speaking of Ruby Spears, they had their hands in this too. Wonder if that American Mega Man show counts as well. I don't remember if that was Saturday morning or not.
Oh, Fighting Robot Mega Man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly really don't
Oh,
know.
you know what? I just remembered Pac-Man, the cartoon. It came on
Yes,
Saturday morning.
Pac-Man the cartoon used to come on Saturday morning. So did Pole Position. So did Donkey Kong. So did Dungeons and Dragons back in the day.
Well, what wouldn't count is Super Mario Brothers Super Show because that was weekdays, and
Yep,
then
syndication.
they had the Zelda cartoons.
Legend
on
of Zelda
Friday.
on Fridays.
But-
I used to skip. I used to literally skip Monday through Thursday of that show and go right to Friday. I didn't care. I didn't care about the Super Mario
But
cartoon.
something that people might forget is that there were briefly the Super Mario Brothers 3 and Super Mario World cartoons as well.
Yeah, on Saturday morning.
I didn't
Yeah.
forget. Yep, I didn't forget. Yep, they were there too on NBC. They used to air with Damon's like, which Sonic goes on the list? The Sonic that was on ABC, not the poorly animated one, but the one on ABC where he was a freedom fighter fighting. It was basically adapted from the Archie Comics comic book.
That one. That one
Yeah.
was pretty cool, actually.
That one was good. And they never got to finish it. I remember the last episode aired and they left it on a cliffhanger. They never got to finish it. I was mad about that.
Well, I think I watched it somewhere where they actually had the thing when they had an episode when they beat Robotnik at the end, but I don't remember exactly how it ended though. But it was actually pretty
It was
interesting.
a decent. It was a more than decent cartoon back in the day. I remember that.
It was because like it kind of actually had like a central plot that it followed. Like it wasn't just slapstick like the other one. I'm not.
Oh man, I couldn't.
I'm not gonna hate on the slapstick one because I
couldn't
had fun
stand
with
that
it.
show though. I couldn't
But-
stand the one on the weekdays.
And I understand. I get
Yeah.
it. Trust me, I get it. But hey, yeah, at the time, look, it was Sonic. I didn't care shit. Like it was.
I hear you. I hear you, man. Yeah, we definitely need to do remember when we did the bracket back in the day for Disney movies? Maybe we need to do a bracket for a Saturday morning cartoon movies, and we might have to make it so it's non superhero related because the superhero ones would just right off rip. They would.
Pro Stars is going all the way.
First round knockout. That's not happening. First round knockout. Anyway, any other topics before we wrap up? Anybody else got a topic? Anybody on the panel got something they want to say or chat about, talk about?
Well, I know we were kind of low key talking about it a little bit. Did you guys like address like any like kind of like the slated shows for CW or the future it's going in or whatever?
No, we didn't talk about the future is going in. I've kind of have avoided it, and I have reason being is that a lot of the CW shows, even though I watch them religiously, for the most part they've fallen off fairly badly for me. Supergirl started. It had the best writing I had ever seen on the show in the earlier seasons, and I'll let you say your piece about it in a minute. But it fell victim to inconsistent writing. The Flash had heavily inconsistent writing, annoying characters. Arrow had the same problem. The only one that seemed to be, separated from this malaise was Black Lightning, and it's because it's not related to anything else. So I don't know.
And you know what? For me, and I had talked about this, I think probably back in April or March, something like that. And no, more than likely it was probably May. It was probably May. But I was saying how a majority, with the exception of 2 shows, have disappointed me this season, and that was Black Lightning and The Flash. Flash had issues this season, but it was still relatively decent storytelling, and how everything pretty much kind of came into fruition by the end of the season still made me like it. Everything else disappointed me a lot.
See, the Flash's problems had to do with 2 things. One, Cicada as a villain was freaking terrible. Chris Klein should never get another acting job again.
The acting was so bad, and then every time Killer Frost showed up, she just handed him his ass with like no effort.
Yeah,
that was my issue, obviously, and it seems with a lot of shows this season is like everything has been like very just soapbox agenda heavy this season, and that's one of the things that been turning me off with a lot of things that they do, especially Supergirl. And it's like the only thing that to me, where the writing to me was consistent and I was able to follow, still be interested in the overall story. Again, Black Lightning and the Flash. And the thing is, it's to the point where I'm kind of lukewarm about the Infinite Crisis arc this year. Like, I'm really lukewarm about it.
Like,
because
I hear you.
Honestly, this season, the only thing I really thoroughly enjoyed for the most part was probably the Elseworlds crossover, with the exception of the last episode.
For me, I'm in agreement on some stuff. I actually thought The Flash has been, even though it wasn't the greatest, it was probably the best season we've gotten since season 2. Weak villain, but overall as a season, it was pretty good. Black Lightning, as much as I loved season 1, and I mean, you all remember the praise I gave season 1. Season 2 was good, but season 2 did not get close to reaching the bar season 1 set. I think they took too many detours at points.
Yeah,
and they kind of lost their focus.
Too many plot threads. Yep.
Hopefully they can, reattain that glory in season 3. Arrow I thought was really good, but it almost felt like 2 seasons, but they were one, because you had that whole thing with Oliver in prison, and then you had the thing where Amico ended up being the big bad this season. So it's gonna be interesting to
another weak villain. I have to admit, another weak villain. Villain. God,
it's gonna be interesting to watch season 7 on Blu-ray, like binge it and see how it plays, because it was it's kind of different week to week, and with that winter hiatus. But again, Supergirl, we talked about it before we went on there, and my sentiment was the same. It's like it started off fine, but it's like I could probably have the opportunity to get season 4 on Blu-ray free for review, but it's like, do I even want to get it for free and sit through all that again just for 3 great episodes with Lex Luthor?
Right. John Cryer was awesome. Oh my God, he was good.
I don't know. For me, it wasn't Arrow's best season, but I did enjoy it overall.
No, it was
season,
decent.
But
it was decent.
But it'll be interesting to see how season 8 plays out, because
I agree.
They pretty much put the cap, because the season 7 finale was titled "You Have Saved This City," and they pretty much said this was the end of Oliver's original crusade, and they're setting up season 8 that it's going to be like the prelude to Crisis.
Right.
No, it's the prelude to Crisis, and it could take more of a sci-fi turn to it, and it could be interesting because Arrow was always the more grounded show of the pack, and now to see it kind of get them. I mean, it exists in a world that has science fiction and the supernatural, but it was a part. It's like how you have Batman in the DC universe, and he kind of does his own thing. Then Legends was very much its own thing, but it's kind of found its footing.
Don't get Fallen Marvel started on Legends.
Hell no. Man, I was so disappointed with Legends this season. Oh my God, dude! Listen.
Sometimes it gets too campy for comfort.
Oh,
but,
yes, it does. Yes, it does.
This season was so bad, and it was just like the simple fact that even with everything else they were doing this season, they proceeded to bury Vandal Savage even deeper in the ground. I'm just like, I can't with this show. Last season was so good. Last season was so good. I'm like, dude.
At least they finally paid off the Astrid arc from Constantine.
I mean, that was cool. I mean, honestly,
that originated on Constantine's show? The Astrid part?
Yeah,
really? That goes back to the pilot episode,
really?
Some people might not have had audio at the top of this show, and like I said, I can't really talk about it, but I've seen the pilot episode of Batwoman, earlier this evening, a rough cut, and I'll just say I have a positive feeling about that. I just can't really talk about it.
Right. But I mean, I'm glad it's good, but yeah, Legends was a little tough to get through this season. I mean, they took it to probably super ridiculous levels this season. As much as I did love having Biff from Back to the Future being Nate's dad, I thought that part was good. I thought Zari and Nate was a pretty good pairing. Charlie I found to be absolutely annoying. Mona I found to be super freaking annoying. Like, get her out of here. Type annoying.
She was so annoying. There was no reason for that character to be on the show
at all.
It almost seemed like an analog for like a Tumblr fan you just don't want around. And then the only reason for Charlie to be there was just because they concluded Vixen's arc, but it's like, okay, we can't let Maisie Richardson Sellers go.
Right,
so
we love her. We love her too much. We gotta bring her back somehow.
They could have they should have just let her go and left it at. That's like how do you say her name? Kala Ash or whatever that plays Zari. They're saying that she's going to be
the same deal.
Something different. But I'm wondering if she's just still Zari, but now history played out differently for her.
Maybe.
I don't know. No, like, it's just, to me, you know what? It's just kind of funny because it's like, for me, like, I understand. It's like part of me understands why they didn't just keep Wally on the team, but like with him on the team, it would have just been broken. Because I think like they pretty much like finished missions last season with him like fairly easy just because he was on the team. So it was like, yeah, I kind of get why they kind of can't really keep him on the squad, but it's like y'all could at least added some other like really interesting characters on there. But it's just only person I really gave half a shit about in the season was John Constantine, but he couldn't keep me watching. It's like his whole arc. I couldn't keep watching it because everything else about the show muddied it up so much. It's just
can't disagree. I can't disagree with that.
I think part of the problem is with us not liking characters on the show is because originally the show was like a C-list time traveling Justice League, and now that so many of these characters have left, they're not getting other C-list heroes to replace them. So they're throwing in shit like Mona, which is like some like romance novel reading werewolf, and it's that whole.
It was like they teased the JSA for like one episode, never did anything with them, and then half of them don't even use their powers really. It's like we didn't even see Nate in the Atom suit. Yeah, don't have the budget, and not in the budget. Must not be in the budget.
Again, it goes back to they put it on the CW. You know what CW shows are going to be. They're going to be high drama, teeny bopper, at their core. Mm-hmm. And that's what the problem was.
I mean, this is even bad even for them.
It's worse. Yeah.
Like even for CW standards, this was really bad.
Yeah. But see, and that was the worst part. This was their opportunity again. Those shows, I buy them on Blu-ray because I usually just watch them on my own time. I don't really, for me, it's not much, must see TV. Mm-hmm. But I think the issue is when you throw it on a channel like the CW. Because like Smallville worked on CW because it was the only superhero show on that I can remember anyway. It was the only superhero show, at the time that was going on. So it was like, okay, cool, and it's a character everybody knows. It was just interesting to see how it was done. Kirsten Kirk, it was like pretty much the main reason I watched the show initially, and then the show just got improved. So I was like, okay, cool. Then when you get to Arrow, it's like, okay, you don't want to acknowledge that he's the Green Arrow. You just want to call the show Arrow. Like, everybody in the know doesn't know what his actual name is.
And make him a Batman allegory.
Right. So it was just like...
Which I think they probably originally wanted to do, but because Gotham was on, it's like...
Gotham wasn't on at the time, though.
No, not yet. Arrow started before all of them.
Were they like in the early stages of developing Gotham at the time?
They might have been, but Arrow beat everybody.
Arrow came first. Yeah. Arrow came first.
Oh, yeah, I know that. But
and again, it goes back to, and that's why, like I said at the start of the show, the Warner Brothers executives are very weird about how they treat these properties. Mm-hmm. It's like they don't have faith in them doing what it is that they can possibly do if put in the right creative hands. Because it's like, say what you want about Disney's treatment of Star Wars, they got me hyped for like whatever the Star Wars TV show is going to be. Because I know they've got the money. I know they've got the money to make it look really good. Now they just have to, obviously get directors and writers that are going to treat it with, the proper care.
Are you talking about? Is this a separate show from The Mandalorian?
No, just that in general. Just the fact that they're going to do that. Some of the stuff that they're going to do. It's just like they put the money behind it because they see where it's like, look, it's profitable. We know what we have our hands on. Let's make it work.
Right.
It's like that's what pisses me off about Warner Brothers having the DC license for as long as they've had it. I think they just take it for granted. It's like, we've always had these characters, and Superman and Batman have made money for us. Yeah, because that's the only thing you did for the last 40 years.
Oh,
Batman, yeah.
Actually, they're more hands off with the TV side of things because they have more creative control on the CW than they do in other places. Because
then why couldn't they do that the same thing with the movies? Just say hands off it, and then let them do the movie.
Like the movie executive side is like they just work a completely different lane.
Yeah,
they want to keep it that way. It's like it's like movie side is just over here, and it's like TV's down there. We'll just let them work.
Yeah, well, movies and TV are two completely different divisions, and the thing is more people are going to see movies than they do TV, so there's more riding on it. That's why on TV we're getting to the point where you're going to see Crisis on Infinite Earths. We've already gotten Elseworlds. The people who do the Arrowverse have written comic books. They're lifelong fans. It's just, you may not always agree with how things play out, but really they're just people like us that have been fortunate enough to be put in the right position.
Mhm.
But when it comes to the movies, you don't have like Greg Berlanti, Mark Guggenheim, and people like that. You've got more hired guns. So I mean, it's fortunate when we get like James Wan or Patty Jenkins, and now Matt Reeves seems like he's a guy who really understands Batman. So hopefully, he gives us a good movie. But yeah, you get these studio execs stepping on the people, and they're saying, no, this is what's good for the character. So it's kind of fortunate, like we had someone like Matt Reeves and James Wan almost did it, where they're like, if you don't give me creative control, I'm walking. Have fun finding someone else who's going to do this for you.
And again, that's part of the problem, though.
Yeah. There's this whole culture at Warner Brothers where they think they know best, and hopefully it changes. But
it better change.
That's the main problem in hindsight completely, because it's like at the end of the day, we have our few gems, because it's like, hey, maybe we got to start giving like these film directors a little bit more creative control, because look what happened with all the other shit.
I don't know, but
not to mention like them constantly like losing directors and just throwing out titles for stuff that they wound up not even doing.
The Flash.
How many
Flash,
directors did the Flash
Cyborg?
Yep. Cyborg got put on the shelf.
But in all honesty, that does happen with films. Like, there's a lot of films that stay stuck in development hell because, various reasons, directors can't stay on the page with the executives and vice versa. So that's not, exclusive to Warner Brothers, but
no, of course, it's not.
But at the same time, the issue that I have with the way DC has portrayed their films, and not only their films, but their film universe, that, maybe they officially wanted to call it that or didn't, want to call it that, didn't want to sound like they were copying Marvel or whatever. But the fact that you started having interconnected moments and beats in these movies, I don't care what you want to say, whether you want to officially say that you had a DCEU, you had a damn DCEU. And you didn't follow through with it because you didn't have somebody like a Kevin Feige overseeing the whole plan. Mm-hmm. And that's what pissed me off about it, because there was so much potential there of dude, you can build to a kick-ass Justice League.
Yeah, what's bad about this is we might see even more corporate interference soon, because now with AT&T, throwing their weight around, they're also starting to do it over at DC. I mean, there have been like some reports over at Bleeding Cool, I believe, but I've heard in other places as well. There's a lot of weight being thrown around, and there is fear like AT&T could do a house cleaning at DC Comics, and we're talking at the comic book level. Like we're talking like the worst case scenario is they take an executive who doesn't know any shit about comics, and they fire like Jim Lee and put them in his place. That's what we don't want, and that's because now we're going to have AT&T saying they know what's best for DC Comics.
And their books are actually really good right now. After the whole New 52 experiment failed, crashed and burned, however you want to put it, after Rebirth came out, their books have been on a really solid trajectory. They've been really
Dark Knight's
good.
Metal, dude. Yeah. That series was I can't say enough about it. It was just the best series I ever read.
I wasn't a good fan. I wasn't a really big fan of Dark Knight's Metal because I kind of avoid majority things Batman related unless it's the main Batman story or Detective Comics. But I know like what spun out of Dark Knight's Metal, like Hawkman. I took yours and Josh's advice. I read Hawkman. Oh my God, that book is so good. And I've never been a fan of Hawkman. I am a fan of Hawkman now. The book is so well read. So well written. What?
Has anybody read like the New Wonders yet? Like on Damage or
I started to read Damage. I was reading Damage for the first few issues. It fell off for me. I didn't really like it. The Terrifics I read from pretty much beginning to end. I did not watch this. I did not read The Silencer, but I found it very interesting that The Silencer was in Arrow this past season. That was very interesting, having her be one of the longbow hunters. I was like, wait a minute, that's The Silencer. Oh, that's crazy. But
And
no, I
Super
didn't.
Sons is pretty good too.
The what? Which one?
Super Sons is pretty good too.
Super Sons was pretty good. Continuing off kind of where, because Gotham Academy was one of my favorite books that they had, even though it ended finally. But Gotham Academy, I really liked. But yeah, but a lot of the DC's books have been on really solid footing. And I hate to see any kind of shakeup kind of derail some of their progress. You know, it's
Black Label's going well so far now that they're finally putting out books a year after, launching it.
Speaking of that, right? Now, I know you just did your review for Superman Year One, I think. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Superman Year One, written by Frank Miller. Can we stop letting Frank Miller write and direct stuff? Like,
it's
can
an
we put him
okay
out to
book.
pasture? Can we put him out to
okay
pasture
book.
though? I mean, let's put him out to pasture. Why would you ever give Frank Miller, a guy who has been very vocal and not shy about his general feelings about Superman, why would you give him a Superman book?
Yeah, and then Superman Year One, like they're saying how different it's going to be, and maybe it will be in issues 2 and 3 because it's a 3-issue miniseries, 64 pages each.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying like it's the definitive origin of Superman, and
please no.
I think they're contractually obligated to say that because it's Frank Miller, but it's issue 1 is nothing you haven't read or seen a million times before.
Wait. Yes, there is. There's something. Yes, there is. There is something. How in the fuck is Clark in the Navy? How did they cut his hair? He had a buzz cut.
That's not issue 1.
That's not in issue 1?
No, it leaves off with him joining the Navy, but I mean that's a new spin on it. But I mean,
why is he in the Navy?
I guess it's a different way of exploring like his sense of duty. But here's the thing: in the past decade, we've had Secret Origin, Earth One, Grant Morrison's Action Comics, and then American Alien, and we needed another Superman origin.
Right.
One.
Exactly.
But I mean, Black Label has other cool things like Last Night on Earth got off to a good start. That's like the finale for Snyder and Capullo's run. And then we've got Curse of the White Knights out next month. That should be good because Sean Murphy did great things with the first White Knight book.
I am looking forward to Batman and Catwoman and the introduction of the Phantasm into comic book canon. Now, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's another thing to talk about corporate weight being thrown around because the Tom King run was supposed to go through issue 105 of Batman. It got cut at 85, and they're like, "Oh no, the plan is for him to launch another book." It's like, no, that wasn't the plan, and you don't even know who's replacing King on the book yet.
Right.
But here's how it went because people are saying like, "Oh, this is like when Grant Morrison launched Batman and Robin." It's not. That was a different era of Batman because it was Dick Grayson as Batman and Damian Wayne as Robin. It was a new era that warranted its own book. Batman Incorporated then warranted its own book. And then when Snyder and Capullo left Batman, other stories they did warranted their own book, like Dark Knight's Metal, like Last Night on Earth. It's not quite the same thing. So this was a guy being kicked off Batman, and the decision was made at MegaCon a few weeks back, like unbeknownst to everyone. And then they just they're like, okay, you can finish your Batman run, but it's going to be on another book. And in a way, it's kind of shitty. I mean, it's good that we're still going to get to read the rest of King's story and see what he was going to do with Batman and Catwoman. But to say that he has to continue it elsewhere, because if anyone picked up the new issue of Batman today, it leaves off with the Thomas Wayne Flashpoint Batman, who's now in our world. He is he took Bruce to the desert, and he's about to dump Martha Wayne into a Lazarus pit so they can be a family again.
Wow, that's crazy. Wow.
That's how crazy this series is getting, and the fact that it's like King had a plan when people are like, oh, they built up this wedding and they didn't deliver. It's like, yeah, King was probably going to have Bruce and Selena marry at like issue 100. The fact is he never said the wedding was going to happen at issue 50. That was all the marketing they put behind it, and they said it was going to happen. That wasn't Tom King. That was that was DC, but again, that was another
I do wonder.
situation.
I do wonder if at the end of Batman and Catwoman, if they might put Bruce and Selina together. Because look, if Clark and Lois can do it, I'm sure Bruce can do it. And Peter and Mary Jane, they did it for forever. So, and Reed and Sue have always been married. So I don't see why. I'm
still waiting for the call down to kill Selina at this point.
Oh yeah, you pretty much don't. She's too popular. I think she's insulated from that. She's insulated from that. I don't think.
Hey, that ain't never stopped her from, like, they killed Superman at one point.
That's true. that is very true. I want to thank Kirk Jackson for liking the stream. I know we're kind of getting close to a wrap up time, but if you got a topic you want to talk about it, please fire it out there. Let us know. Go ahead, man. What were you saying?
I'm just saying is that, like, the fact that they even announced that Bruce was getting, it's like, look, we've seen just about every relationship he's ever had just in badly or some kind of way.
Very badly.
It's like, look, it's to the point where it's like him and Wolverine are damn near neck and neck when it comes to having a love life. So it's just the fact that he's actually supposedly, like, finally marrying this woman who's been off and on a thorn in his side, like, pretty much his whole career. It's just like, oh, look, the first thing I thought when they announced it, I'm like, oh damn, they gonna plan to kill this girl.
but then you read the books and you saw how good at least that King was writing their relationship. It was actually fairly solid, in my opinion. I thought it was good.
I mean that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But at the same token, like, it's like when you see them set stuff like this up, only for them to just be like, look at Spider-Man and Gwen Stacy, like.
Mm-hmm.
The Catwoman solo series has been awesome too.
Has it? I read like the first couple of issues and it wasn't catching me, so I kind of checked out.
I really like it.
Okay, all right, but you're a Catwoman fanboy, so that what about that really surprises me? I don't want. Come on now.
Quality speaks for a lot because I was loving Harley Quinn when Palmiotti and Connor were on the book.
It's because they were great.
Yeah,
it's because they were great.
After it's played like a Connor and Palmiotti cover song, and I dropped Harley Quinn in the time.
I have to admit, the later issues, they haven't been so good of Harley.
I dropped it not long after they left. But
when she was running around with the gang of Harleys and all them wacky ass adventures she was on, it was some good stuff. So LGZ thinks she's gonna be a troll, right? She thinks she's gonna be a troll and say, "Hey, when will BVS 2 come out?" And you address the rumors on that.
It'll come out when she directs it.
That's fine. Or maybe when she admits that BVS really wasn't all that.
Start waiting on that executive phone call, L.
Right.
They get ready to call you any minute.
They own the hotline for you right now. They own the hotline. I'm telling you. They want you to write and direct that film.
Yep. They want you to start a whole nother Elseworlds thing. Just get it on started. Just like it, just whole Justice League led by Booster Gold.
Wow. You really some Booster Gold into the mix too. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, that's gonna be the new hotness. Like Booster Gold is gonna be the Justice League.
To play Booster Gold.
Hey, that actually wouldn't be bad though. That wouldn't be a bad choice. It would be a bad choice. John Cena as Booster Gold
and change his entire like mentality.
But who would be the Blue Beetle to John Cena's Booster Gold? Like, we're talking, and it can't be Jaime Reyes. It's got to be Ted Kord. So who would be good enough to be John Cena's Ted Kord?
Ted Kord. Probably get Randy Orton. Oh, AJ Styles.
It's gonna be a whole damn WWE production.
Yeah, it would.
The rumor was they was trying to get John Cena to be U.S. agent.
That would have been dope as hell, though. I ain't gonna lie. That would have been dope.
Like, he might actually be getting this for real. Like, don't forget, Disney has a ton of money, and even though it's going to be a TV show, they can still get John Cena on their TV show if they want to for that Falcon and Bucky show. So
Yep, sure could. As someone
I
to
refuse.
take over for Steve Rogers because they want to have a Captain America and they might not want a black Captain America.
No, I refuse to accept that. I refuse to accept that.
It's not even so much that. If you really think about it in terms of how that storyline plays out, Cap was still a fugitive. I don't care. Yes, he saved the entire universe and helped, that. But he was still the last thing that was said, and it was cool that they didn't have Ross try to arrest him at the funeral. But the last order Ross gave was to arrest Cap and the rest of the the runaway Avengers.
I don't know about the timeline when he came back though.
No. It doesn't matter. That was still,
he was still young at Tony's. Yeah. He was still young at Tony's funeral, and Ross was standing not 5 feet behind him.
Right. So
we'll see, because all I'm just saying, because you had that 5-year gap. I'm just saying it would stand.
Come on now. Come on. You know how the government is. You know how Ross is. Ross holds grudges.
Forever.
But at the same time, it's like, look, if Ross was one of the people that got snapped out of existence, you still had this 5-year gap. It's like, even still, the world probably moved on without him. It's like they probably repealed the fucking Sokovia Accords by then.
I don't know, man.
He's sitting there hosting.
That could be your loophole as to why you need to bring U.S. agent in, because it's like, dude, Captain America, nah, man, you Falcon, you're a fugitive, and you black too. Hell no, man.
Yeah, right.
We want U.S. agent now.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying that's how they're going to do it.
Sokovia Accords got repealed by then, dude.
Man, I don't know,
because I'm saying, it's like if somebody that they didn't even account for just comes and just literally wipes out half the universe, the Sokovia Accords are the least of their problems.
That's true.
How about this?
Come on, go ahead.
Okay. All right, the whole, what was it? The Civil War Restoration Act. From the actual comic books didn't last for after the entire after Civil War was done, it was we're not even going to bring up that whole scenario with the whole.
Well, no, they kind of did. Yeah, they did. They did it. They had that was when Norman Osborn. No, it was when Norman Osborn took over and the whole 50-state initiative took part, and you could only you had to sign up and be part of the spirit team. It lasted for a little while.
About 3 years.
Yeah.
Again, that's the nature of comic books, though. You get a good writer in there, they're like, screw that. I don't want to deal with that storyline. I want to do my thing.
Right. Exactly.
It's a possibility. I can see how they could just say, you know what, we'll keep it Cap was a fugitive. You're still fugitive, so we can basically do the whole U.S. agent.
Again, that's how I would deal with it, because it's like, look, movies have consequences in a sense, the way they're doing their universe. Granted, there's a little bit of crossover and things that don't necessarily mesh up. Looking straight at you, Spider-Man: Homecoming, with your time jump, but they know full well there are people that remember stuff from Iron Man 1 to Endgame, and all the facts in between.
Damn it, I want my Red Hulk now.
Maybe. It depends on if William Hurt decides to stick around.
I figured out who would be the villain in a Sam Wilson Captain America movie. It would be Fox News. Because
there you go.
Because they would probably try to smear him. They wouldn't want to admit that they don't like Sam Wilson's Captain America because he's black, so they would find other reasons to slander him on TV. Right. But it would be
so you get J. Jonah Jameson to spearhead everything.
Yeah, Jameson is too awesome.
It would be
actually, if they had him to kind of start just being the usual person to spin everything that they bring on.
Go ahead, finish what you were saying, though.
Huh?
Finish what you were saying.
Yeah, it would basically be granted, people have every right not to like a certain politician because of, policies, but it's so much of the conservative movement didn't admit they didn't like Obama because he was black, and they would find other reasons, not to like him.
And they were the most ridiculous reasons ever.
Yeah. That's how it would be. that's how it would be with Sam Wilson as Cap.
Trying to say that Falcon's going to have a tan flight suit.
Yeah.
Ah, man.
I'm done.
Fly around with a cup of coffee, so he's going to piss a whole bunch of people off.
Yeah.
That is
So,
great.
So Elle wants to ask a question, and we can answer this one real fast before we bounce out. So she says, "Who's ready for Titans season 2?"
Lukewarm.
I'm kinda okay, but see, here's my fear about Titans season 2. Right? I think they listened to a lot of the criticism of season 1, where it wasn't Titans related enough, where it didn't resemble like the Titans from the comic book enough. Didn't star enough of the characters that were actual Teen Titans look enough. So they're trying to overcompensate for that, but then at the same point, they can't resist doing an older Batman, or a Batman as he's being called now. Bruce Wayne, even though I'm not necessarily looking forward to that, I'm kind of interested in seeing where they go in season 2 when it all gets said and done. Superboy being a part of season 2 is one thing. And, I saw the test shot that they had of him that they released yesterday or a couple of days ago, and he looked pretty good, so we'll see. But then hearing that, huh?
No, go ahead.
And then I'm hearing, then Aqualad is also going to be on the show.
Yeah.
Crypto is going to be on the show. And I'm just like, wait a minute, hold on now. How are they going to fit all this? Right. Now they might be trying to
and something that didn't feel like Titans before.
Exactly. This is what I'm getting at. It's like, okay, all of a sudden now you trying to make amends, and where's Titans Tower? They don't even. Dude, that show never resembled like they even wanted to be superheroes.
Yeah,
None of them.
The problem was because season 1 was originally supposed to be 12 episodes, and then they cut it at 11. So
that too.
You didn't get the resolution with the Trigon arc, so he's going to have to be wrapped up at the beginning of season 2. So we didn't get to see the Titans come together. I think that's what season 2 is going to be,
right?
Because then they're also going to have their Deathstroke's going to be the villain, and they're going
to
do
which is going to be cool. Having Isai Morales as Deathstroke, that can be sweet. I'm on board with that.
And then it looks like they're setting up, Lex Luthor for season 3, because Mercy Graves is coming in season 2. And I think they're going to slowly build.
And she's black too. Oh, she looks fine too. Man,
wait, hold on.
Yeah.
How many different Lex Luthors do we have now?
Okay, so we've got Gene Hackman. We've got.
No, I'm talking about current. Current.
Two.
No, one. Because you technically just have John Cryer, because Jesse Eisenberg. They're not bringing back Jesse Eisenberg if they're not bringing back Henry Cavill.
Until they replace him in the movies,
he still counts. Yeah, he still counts. It's still they cast it.
He's gone.
I'm glad he's gone, but I'm just saying until we actually see it.
Well, technically, John Crier's Luthor is dead, but they hinted that he's going to come back in Crisis because the Monitor has his body. But after that, Cryer's probably going to do other things, because this Lex Luthor thing is probably just going to be a few appearances for him.
Yeah.
Because, and then, by the time Titans season 3 comes along, you're looking at 2021 at the earliest. So John Cryer's Lex Luthor will be, long past. So then
and by the way, are y'all ready for the eventual shutdown of DC Universe and getting ready to hop on over to the Warner Brothers streaming app? That's coming. That's a whole nother conversation.
Wait.
Did not take them long enough to do that.
Hold on. So they rolled out the DC Universe channel.
Here we go.
Channel.
Yes, he's putting it all together. Dude, did we not talk about this when DC Universe was first coming out? We was like, wait a minute, man, why are they doing this? They're getting ready to come out with a Warner Brothers streaming app. Come on.
See, and this is why I'm so mad that Warner Brothers,
Miles, don't put no punches.
I'm just saying, this is where I'm at Warner Brothers, AT&T, or whoever is in charge of DC. Because again, they keep making decisions that makes DC look like they're stupid, and it's not DC's fault.
Exactly.
It's not DC's. It's straight up. It's not DC's fault. But it's like,
No, it's not.
You spent all that time hyping up, advertising, doing all this stuff about this DC streaming service, and then you kill it like what, a year later?
Probably like a year. It's probably going to be a year when they finally kill it and announce the Warner Media streaming service. And by the way, that Warner Media streaming service is going to be $14. More expensive than the DC Universe app itself. So there is that.
Let's not forget about the premiere of Swamp Thing, only for them to announce.
To cancel that bitch like like a day or so after it aired. Yeah, I know, right?
Okay. Now here's my issue. Here's my issue with not even that, because obviously Disney Plus is cheaper. Disney has ridiculous money behind them, so like, and they have no problem spending it because they've shown that a million times over, billion times over actually. But it's like Titans. Here's my issue with Titans, because you guys are we're talking about because again, I have not watched Titans because it's just from what I saw, it's like, okay,
the whole show was like made by edgelords, dude.
Yes.
I get that Titans has a variety of different ways you can approach it, but you cannot go from the original Teen Titans cartoon, which was awesome, to Teen Titans Go to the movies, and then all of a sudden super duper hardcore, hard R, basically, well, not hard R, but R, rated Titans. And it's like, where's the middle ground going to be where somebody's
there was no middle ground. Zero.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like, okay, regardless of what you might think about, doing the darker tone stuff and all that, you got to have something that's going to attract an audience. And if Fuck Batman is like your marketing ploy, you've already cut out. There's going to be a whole bunch of parents that are like, oh, for real? Okay, we're not getting that streaming service if that's what they're doing.
Yeah, that was the problem with Titans, because I actually liked the show, and when I screened the first few episodes before and reviewed it, when people were asking me, is it like the trailer? And I was like, yes and no. The content you see in the trailer is in the show, but it's just kind of like the way they framed it. There's a problem with how they market things. Like Doom Patrol was a fucking fantastic show, and how did they market that? The only trailer they ever really put out was the team taking a photo shoot,
which was weird.
Yeah, they didn't really do a good job of marketing that. And then, like I said, I can't really talk about Batwoman, but they don't really even need to put much thought to marketing that show. Just show her in costume, show her kicking ass in trailers. You don't have to show her like defiantly giving a watch to a homeless person, and that's your entire TV spot, and then you throw a Bat logo at the end of it, and it doesn't even say Batwoman on the screen. It's just like, okay, she gives a watch to a homeless person, and then here's a bat. It's like,
y'all know what this is.
That literally is the Batwoman TV spot they've been running like nonstop for the past week or two. They're not marketing the show well, and it's not helping like alleviate fears about the series. And like I said, I can't really talk about the show, but wink, wink. Don't worry, but they have to market it so more people tune in, and they know they don't have reason to worry about it. It's like if you saw Elseworlds, it's like, yeah, Batwoman's going to be cool. I'll tune in and watch that. They need to put out trailers that reflect that, and it doesn't help that. I mean, the trailers mostly being comment bombed on YouTube and getting dislikes because it's going through the same thing Captain Marvel did. It's a bunch of guys who are like, I can't get laid and I hate women and I hate seeing women superheroes. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to lob all the hate at them. And these are probably like the same guys who weigh like, 400 pounds, and you see them at conventions and they're giving shit to the cosplayers. Wow. Like, oh, you're dressed as Zatanna? Do you even know who Zatanna is? what did she say to John Constantine in this panel in this issue? And it's like,
Oh, the gatekeepers, yes, the
okay.
gatekeepers.
No one's going to know that off the top of their head, but if a girl's dressed as Zatanna, I think she knows a thing or two about comic books because she's not wearing a Ruby's Batgirl costume.
Right.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Here's my thing. Even with that, where it's like I have zero problems with the female superheroes and them doing more of them because it's like it's long past time. Because again, like I've said, we've all grown up with 40 plus years of Batman and Superman.
Yep.
Like we've all gone through that. Obviously I'm older than everybody on the panel, but we've all grown up with Batman and Superman constantly. So it's like, doing different stuff is absolutely fine. But like you said, from the marketing standpoint, if you can't make me interested in it, I'm not going to shell over $14 or whatever it costs for the app to get it. If you can't make me just at first glance of like, dude, this looks like it's going to be sweet. This looks like this is going to be awesome. Because even after like Rian Johnson messed up Star Wars, Star Wars' name a little bit, man, when that Star Wars trailer came out for the most recent one, Episode 9, people were in the theaters cheering. Because Star Wars it was marketed so well. It's like, okay, they have her standing in the desert. And then again, people hate Rey because for the same reasons you just laid out. Oh, it's like female doing all the work and doing all this stuff. Man, so what?
What about the men?
It's right. But it's like people when she jumped over that TIE fighter, people were like, "Oh my God, it's time to go get back to see another Star Wars movie." Which again, it's all the same people. Man, I'm done with Star Wars. I'm like, shut up. You
right?
Right, man. I don't care what they do. People will always go back to the theater to see Star Wars.
Always.
It doesn't matter. And again, I've always said, Force Awakens didn't even need a real spot. They could have literally just showed a Star Destroyer and played a little bit of the Star Wars theme and put a date on the screen.
I'm there.
And that would have been the whole teaser. Everybody's still gonna show up.
Yeah.
So it's like if you have
Falcon.
Right. It's like if you build up a brand to a point where it's like, look, it's quality and you don't have to worry about it, you can do minimal marketing. But when you're kind of digging yourself out of a hole, man, your marketing's got to be, that sizzle reel's got to be amazing.
Gotta be fire.
Like, and then like you said, if all they're showing is her, hold on, was she even in costume because I haven't seen the trailer that you're talking about. Was she even in costume when she gave the watch away? Or was it just, go ahead.
When it comes to Batwoman promotion, there's like a 2.5 minute trailer, something you can watch on YouTube, but obviously that's not something you can show during commercial breaks because you have to worry about advertisers. But you can see that, and you can kind of get an idea of how Batwoman is, and you can see from that trailer that you'll have a good idea of the show, and you can like it, you can hate it, but you'll probably watch that trailer and say it's going through the same shit Captain Marvel did just because it's a woman. And then there are 2 TV spots that have aired. One is Batwoman simply standing on a rooftop next to the bat signal, turns toward the camera, and in a way, until they put out more trailers with her kicking ass, that's all you needed to know. You saw Batwoman in costume. It's like, okay, cool. I'm intrigued. They put out another TV spot. It's simply Kate Kane walking up, and one of these paramilitary guys from the Crows unit that's now protecting Gotham in like the absence of Batman, he's like, that just encourages them. So she goes back to the homeless girl. Instead of giving her another $1, she gives her the watch off her hand. Then she gets on her motorcycle and rides away. And then you see a Bat logo on screen. It says like coming this fall, but it doesn't even say Batwoman. So like the casual fan isn't going to know what's going on.
Right.
So, yeah,
at least the costume puts it together in your head. Like, okay, she's dressed like Batman. Good enough. She must be a Batwoman.
Yeah.
At least give me that. But it's like you said, if she's not even in costume, yes, the Batman brand is that strong. We know that. Batman brand is that strong. You can't just randomly have somebody not in costume because she's not a well-known character like that yet.
Yeah. She's had like a few animation appearances. I mean, she was in the Batman Bad Blood animated movie, but outside of comic fandom, she's not well known. So you're going to have to, like I said, that first teaser with her on the rooftop next to the bat signal, fine. But it's like, so what? Are you trying to get people to watch in, like, or rather tune in? So, like, if you want to watch someone who, can give the watch off the wrist to a person in need, hey, this might be the show for you, but that's not how you market it. Like I don't even know if that scene's going to be on the series. You know what I mean? It's
that was
Man, dude, you know what?
it's baffling.
You know what their next commercial is going to be? It's going to be Cassandra Cain in a soup kitchen helping out. It's not even no costume, no nothing. Just
Kate
I'm sorry.
Kane.
Yeah, Kate K. I'm sorry, Kate K. She's gonna be in a soup kitchen, just passing out soup and whatnot, helping out, man. That's the next commercial.
Either that, or you're going to see Ruby Rose as Kate Kane. She gets up in the morning. You see her kind of like put her hands through her hair. She gets up, brushes her teeth, and then you're going to see the Bat logo. And it's going to be like okay.
The day in the life of the Batwoman.
Exactly. Yeah. That's gonna be their whole line of commercials.
It's like at first you think you're like watching a commercial for Sensodyne or something, but it's supposed to be a Batwoman spot, and
right.
that's what's going to be a shame. It's eventually going to come down to if it gets enough viewers in the first season to get a second, and it very well probably will, but they're gonna have to get people to, like I said, the marketing has to improve a whole lot, because if you saw the CW's fall premiere schedule, Batwoman premieres on Sunday night because it's going to be the lead-in for Supergirl now. Supergirl's moving to 9 p.m. Then the next night at 9 p.m. after the All-American premiere, they're having an encore presentation of Batwoman. Not unheard of, because the CW tends to rerun pilot episodes within a week to make sure they get. But then the next night after the Flash premiere, no, you're not getting the season premiere of Arrow. That's not coming till a week later. You're getting yet another encore of Batwoman.
Oh, man. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
3 nights in a row. I have not seen a pilot
That's a mistake.
I have not seen a pilot air that many times in a week since Prison Break, because if people watch that show, Fox, I don't know if they didn't have enough premieres going on until a few weeks later, but season 1 of Prison Break, at least the first 2 or 3 episodes ran several times a week. And I know I was a big Prison Break fan back in the day, so I actually ate that up. But yeah, I mean, maybe even they don't need it after All American, because that's not a superhero show, but rerunning it after The Flash, that's at least a good idea. So they'll probably pick some viewers up that way. But if they really want Batwoman to catch on, don't put it on Sunday night. That should have been on Monday or Wednesday or something,
Yeah. I have zero problems with them doing the show. I'm glad that they're going to try it out and see what they can do. But if it's from what you're describing, it doesn't sound like they have it planned out. It's just let's just throw this together and see if we can get a couple people to watch it and throw some commercials in there and get some money. It doesn't sound like anybody's really invested in doing it right. And for lack of a better word, it's like,
yeah. The thing is, Arrow's coming to an end, and the Flash, became more popular than its predecessor. The Flash is actually the most popular superhero show around, but so that's carrying the torch. And in its 6th season, it's still on Tuesday nights at 8 and has not budged. Not even Arrow did that. But with Arrow going out, they're going to need that second strong B show, as it were, and Batwoman could very well fill that void. But what they have to do is help assure it happens, and their marketing department can't do that, because the CW sometimes bungles marketing. iZombie is now going to finish its 5-season run, and iZombie's pretty much been a fantastic show. Well, this season is okay, I'd say, but the CW never marketed that show the way it looks if you actually watch it, because the trailers for that show make you think it's like Jane the Virgin. And I think a lot of people got turned off because they thought it was a chick show, and it's not. I have a friend I made that analogy to, and she's like, oh, I love Jane the Virgin, and she also loves iZombie. And I'm like, it's okay that you love Jane the Virgin, but is iZombie Jane the Virgin? She's like, by no means. And I'm like, but that's how the CW markets it.
And that's a shame, because it's a really good show, and that's probably the reason why this is its last season. So, I mean, it just kind of just is what it is. It's unfortunate, but unfortunately, Warner Brothers TV division, it's like they excel at some things, but it really just seems like they do have some limited foresight, much like the movie side does. It's just they're kind of just doing things like, oh, fans like this, and then they just do it. It's kind of like, you know what it is? It feels like a much bigger scale of Felicity and Oliver all over again. It's like everybody started liking Felicity, and then all of a sudden they make them and Oliver a couple, and it's just kind of like, okay, cool, but then it just started becoming more and more and more, and it's just kind of like, but wait a minute, we didn't want this damn much. What the hell? So,
maybe they've got people who used to work for WCW working over in WCW's marketing department.
Hell no.
They just
might as well-
they inexplicably
you might as well
hired
invest in
Vince
man.
to do the writing.
Yeah, really.
oh no.
Yeah.
That's terrible, but yeah, that's I don't know. Like everybody's cautious when it comes to anything with WB or DC attached to it. If it's not a comic book or animation, it seems like. But even animations is kind of hit and miss. So now they are. But that's how I feel.
I don't know. Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was awesome.
Yeah, I
I
like
liked
had
it
its
because of the
moments.
fights. I liked it because of the fights.
Yeah, this moment.
So I mean, that the first fight with him and Shredder at the beginning, great.
That was great.
Some of the other fights, cool. As a whole,
yeah.
yeah.
It worked better as a comic book.
I'm sure it
Probably did. I'll take your word for it. Anyway,
I'm sure it did.
it's after 11 o'clock, guys. We're going to go ahead and wrap up the show and go ahead and get out of here. Next week, we'll be back with another great episode of Culture Junkies Live. Make sure you stay tuned to our Facebook channel over at facebook.com/culturejunkies.culturejunkies.net, where you'll find us. And Follow Marvel will keep posting them awesome and very viral memes that he posts all the time. Some really funny ones. That I have to admit, the one that I shared in the group the other day kind of caught fire. It was a pretty good fatal four-way between who would win between the characters of Will Smith, Scarlett Johansson, Ryan Reynolds, and Keanu Reeves. That was a good one.
Yeah,
but Lucy takes the cake, dude. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Lucy
I
takes
was
the cake.
really thinking like Hancock versus Neo, and then I remembered Lucy, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah, Lucy takes the cake.
Yeah, she
I'm sorry.
wins.
Yeah,
Like-
she wins. Yes, she wins. Yeah.
Sweet.
Anyway, dudes. Hope you all had a fun time enjoying the show. We really enjoyed doing the whole viewer's choice and letting you kind of lead us along and kind of guide the show. Tony Young, you joined the show too late, but man, I take you to task over Man of Steel if we had time, but we ain't got time. We're getting ready to wrap it up. I want to thank all my friends for joining me on the show. Follow Marvel, GQ, the returning Simon Says, and Eric Joseph. I'm Kishiro. We'll see you guys next week. Hope you have a great weekend.
Peace.
Say your goodbyes, everyone.
Goodbye,
Hey.
everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
Of course, this dude just smirks at the screen.